on to the next session, and which speaks about the customizing educational process with automation and artificial intelligence. And we have Ms. Rishibha Sharma. She heads the OD and diversity with HPCL-Mittal Energy Limited. A passionate advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion, Rishibha Sharma brings deep expertise in wellness, mental well-being, and psychological safety. With a strong background in global facilitation, blended learning, and talent development, she specializes in designing and delivering impactful learning strategies. Please welcome Ms. Sharma.
Good afternoon. Sorry for all of that. You had to wait. I think the anticipation was good enough for you to manage the post-lunch. There can be only two reasons why my session is put right after lunch, right? I think the first reason that I could guess was that my profile picture looked funny enough for a stand-up. The second one could be that the content that I'm about to cover is so deep, so intense, requires so much of mental muscle that you need to have your, bellies really full. So I don't know what is the reason, but here I am, and the attempt that we were trying to do is to get a little bit of, an interactive tech going on for you, which unfortunately is not working, but we'll try. Sushant, if I can request you to flip over to the QR code. I'm trying to do a quick Menti for all of you. I think there are about 50 or 60.
You have a queue with you.
It's not there, yeah. Okay. Let's see if you're able to access the quiz by scanning this code. I think only first 50 will be able to do because I'm using the free version of Menti. And let me know if you can access the quiz. It'll take you to the Menti website, I think. Yes. Not opening? Not opening? It's the internet. I think it's the internet. Okay. Good. Not opening for anyone? Opening for some? Okay, opening for some. Can I have you read out the first question? So we wanted to do this and have all of the live pull up here. But can I have you?
Could an AI coaching assistant be effective in providing real-time contextual feedback to employees? Example, after a meeting or presentation.
Did everyone get the question? Do you think that an AI coaching assistant can give feedback on the effectiveness of a manager in giving feedback? Raise of hands. Do you think it can be? It cannot be? We are talking about okay, the raise of hands are yeses, and thumbs up are maybe no's. Raise of hands, how many of you think that it has the capability to give good, effective feedback? Okay, awesome, lovely. And how many of you think it doesn't have the capability? Not really. Anybody with patani? Don't know, not sure. Okay, good. So since we are not really able to I'll try and just get the conversation going for all of us. So the topic that I have been given is personalizing learning in the context and using AI and automation. And I know by now this group who has, of course, been here since morning and has been driving a lot of initiatives in their respective organizations. May I ask any one of you to share, what do you think is the most advanced AI tech thing that you've done so far in your work in L&D, organization development, diversity, training and development? Anyone would like to take a shot? What do you think is the most advanced, most AI sort of driven, IoT-driven thing that you have done in your organization? Anyone would like to take a shot? I know there are many, yes.
Being in L&D, I feel there are not a lot of things that are AI driven. However, ChatGPT, Gamma AI, using AI for creating PPTs, or using AI to create e-learning courses, using AI to define skills framework for different employees. I think that is the most, but would love to see if it is going beyond that as well.
On the quiz was, if you want to create a holographic presence of a facilitator, a trainer, or a coach, right here, right now in this room, who would you want to be here through the holographic technology? I'm hoping most of us understand what is holographic technology, right? Yeah, no rocket science. Who do you think you would like to? And you can say this without the mic as well. Who would you like to be here right now, instead of me, of course? Steve Jobs, okay, good, awesome. Who else? Anyone? You'll get Robert Greene, okay. Any? You'll get Jeff Bezos after he's back from all the marriage stuff. Pull him from Elon Musk, yes. Anyone else? Who do you think you'd like to get here right now in this room and coach you and train you? Shah Rukh Khan, not bad with his Howard delivery, yeah? Awesome. Anyone else would like to give a shot? Marshall Goldsmith, yes. By the way, how many of you know Marshall is already building a bot, and right now they are training the bot. So we spoke about the LLM a little bit around, the definition of what ChatGPT is. Marshall's bot is currently being trained, so you can log into marshall.com, I think AI or bot website. You can ask, I think, up to 5 or 7 questions, and you get an opportunity to interact more and more and contribute to how Marshall is building it. Because he's now stopped doing live sessions in person. Anyone else that you would like to get here, of course, instead of me, through the holographic technology? No more wishes? No more wishes. Okay, great, awesome. So since you mentioned about पहले जो एक में बोले वो लाके दिखाओ. That's right, absolutely. Because she said about, the max that a lot of us are currently using is maybe going up to ChatGPT. I'm sure many of us have already ChatGPT the definition. Would anyone like to give a shot of the full form of GPT? Yes, did you ChatGPT it? Yes? Yes, go loud, go loud. Generative pre-trained transformer. Yes. And when I got stung by the same question, by the way, myself, attending a conference with the Jasprit Bindra, who's self-proclaimed, and I think rightly so an expert in the field of AI as well. Same question, I think none of us really knew it in a conference room of about 200 plus people by LinkedIn. And that's when I decided that, hey, I'm going to learn more about how this thing's really working. Because as, like you, we started to chat GPT a lot of stuff, I continued to have existential crisis thinking about how can it be so smart? Like, I'm supposed to be the smartest L&D, OD person around that I know. And how is it that, this tool is able to give me, it's able to think through what my stakeholders will want, it'll think through the ROI of my programs, it'll think through the culture of my company really. And that's when I came across this book, and if you haven't, I would strongly recommend that you go and read it. It is How AI Thinks. If anyone has gone through the book, I have a book review ready. I'm happy to send over as well. How AI Thinks by Nigel Toon. Nigel is a serial entrepreneur. He's done a lot of work in the semiconductor business as well, and he consults the UK government. But this man really decodes in very simple language how is it that GPT is able to really think through that smartly? And that is when the definition pre-trained transformer is going to become absolutely alive for you. So folks, when we talk about personalizing and customizing learning using automation and AI, I do believe that the first thing that we all really need to do is to understand AI ourselves as much as we can. You now see a lot of people who are proclaiming to be AI experts, and rightly so. However, the first step, and I can talk this to the community that I have here, like my own community, is to really, really get into it, get into the skin of it and understand what is this all about. What is really happening to all the data and information that you are putting? Where is it that those smart insights are coming from? And most importantly, what is it that a lot of information that you are putting in, where is it going and how is all of that processing happening? And that would have been the first part of our conversation had we had the Menti quiz working. Now moving on, I'd like to maybe have you think a little bit about is there one company, one organization, or even one technology provider that you believe is doing, you would say, defining work or industry defining work in terms of learning and development and how we are able to use AI? Would anyone like to talk about a company, a partner, a program that they have built where they have deeply used some of these concepts? Anyone? So we spoke about the digital twin. We spoke about ChatGPT. Anyone would like to share how they have used it in real life with their customers and stakeholders already? Any thoughts? We have some amazing partners as well, and you're free to participate as well. If you think that you built a technology that really uses the power of AI, generative AI, large language models, yeah? Okay. So how about, anyone? Go ahead.
Hi, I am Rahul Jain. I represent XCD. We are an executive education organization, and we have a lot of public programs which are hosted on our website. So what we recently did was we used AI and ChatGPT, not ChatGPT, GPT in general, and we created a model where we brought in a AI counselor per se. Right now, it is going only through our programs on our websites. And when someone logs into the website, there is a person who talks to them. It's an AI, and they understand their role, they understand what they do, what are the gaps that they're looking to fill, what are the challenges, and then suggest a program that's right for them. And this can later be extended to the complete gamut of programs on executive education, which all organizations are offering. We've not done that now, but in future we can. So that's one model.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Thank you. I'm sure it helped the audience. Now let me flip the question back a little bit. If you are the chief ethical AI officer of your organization and Rahul comes up with this solution, he's your head of organization development, what concerns do you think that you will have around the work that's happening? What is it that you will advise to him as the chief ethics and compliance officer of your organization? What will you tell him? What will be your worries? What will concern you? What do you think will concern you?
You know, your privacy, how much of insider information can go, how are you going to manage the, the culture, ethics of a place, how much is appropriate, because certain feedback can be very blunt. So would you want this kind of a culture to be embedded and people listening to it? So there are multiple aspects that you need to think. Bigger organizations have ethnicity. So is your chatbot kind of managing all of that while giving feedback on various parameters?
Anyone else? What do you think?
Hi, as Joyita said, I think first would be the issues around GDPR. But more importantly, maybe I come from a little old school thought, but even AI, it's still not at a level where we know a lot about it. So we are using what we know and which is changing every hour as we speak. And to my limited knowledge, all the organizations or partners who are using any product based on AI, they are also evolving basis, because every day the outcome from that product itself is changing, because it's based on LLM, and obviously the more you feed, the more it will kind of infer and make output basis that. So I also handle DNI, in my organization. So there are I personally have a lot of concerns, or I would say we still haven't reached a level where I think what we are reading is neutral. Because the data that is being fed to it is still a little skewed. So obviously the outcome that you are getting is also a little tilted on one side or the other. So if we don't kind of curate or monitor what the output is before presenting it to the larger audience, we might be solving one problem but creating 5 more.
Also, Rishma, there's something in AI, although I don't know it in public details, but things like hallucination. So hallucination is a big problem with the AI chatbots, right? So how much of the information that you're getting is subject to hallucinations? So that's something that we need to also keep in mind, and rather, like if your question was straight, rather than ethics and officer, I would like to know that the response that my bot is doing, how much of it is, I hope it's not hallucinated there.
My lunch table conversation yesterday with the EA of our CEO and MD that, on a, typically organizations continue to innovate. It's oil and gas, so we are obviously trying to diversify, no rocket science, nothing secretive about it. And one of the conversations that, his chief of staff mentioned yesterday to me over lunch was, how he was building up, some repertoire of some possible data points, and at one night, the whole team sort of got together. They worked up really late. They sort of prepped up the presentation. And this is an example just from the week before. Prepped up the presentation, 11:30ish, presentation's ready, the team's happy, the data is in place, the grid looks perfect, you have all the numbers in place, right from the Middle East to Russian oil, to all of those prices. And everything is logged in fairly well. They send out a message to the MD around 11:30ish in the night, boss, ready for the presentation tomorrow. Next morning, one of them sort of just feels a little icky. एक बार check कर लेते हैं. We all have, this thing at the back of, let's just check it one more time. So they use another LLM model and sort of put in some of that data to realize that at least 25% of the data was incorrect. And then they had to go back to Bloomberg. They had to go back to their verified sources of information. 9:30, the boss comes in and is like, ready for the presentation. No, boss, abhi 2 din aur lagenge, right? So, and this person told me, literally with caution in his eyes, Rishibha, that we could have failed ourselves miserably in front of the CEO while we were super confident about it. Thank God we had the egg. So I'm not trying to put, any doubts in our mind, but the idea is that if AI or if the GPT is continuously looking at its own solutions, eventually it might end up hallucinating. Because if I'm my own favorite, and if I'm constantly looking at only my ideas, my versions of the ideas which are created in other LLMs, there is a very high possibility. So therefore, the reliance on the data, and a lot of times when we go to our stakeholders, that brings me to the third part of the conversation, is that how do you really get your business leaders, your stakeholders, your heads of, marketing, your CMOs to really sign up for some of these programs? How many of you feel like a sales rep in your own organization, in your role as an L&D head? Yeah, because you're constantly selling solutions to them. You're constantly telling them, boss, this is the use case and this company has done it and has spoken to 10,000 people. This is what my employees are talking about. This is what's happening in Russia. This is what's happening in China, right? So at the top, when you're really trying to influence and leaders make the decision, you need to really think about the authenticity of the solution. And as ma'am rightly pointed out, by solving one problem as L&D, are you creating 3 or 5 more problems for yourself? We wouldn't think of something similar. In March this year, we did the first ever metaverse for our organization, and it was a week-long initiative. Just a few days before as well, we were constantly worried about bandwidth. We were constantly worried about the security of the tool itself. Of course, we had put in a lot of security in place, but every minute that metaverse was there, our people were logged into the metaverse. We and the head of IT, we were constantly on our toes, hoping for the worst to not happen at all. This is oil and gas. We work with hazardous chemicals, and safety and security of the data, of the pipelines, of the cracker is of utmost national importance, right? So bringing home the conversation that I wanted to do with you, that we do get a lot of these insights on what's happening in the market. You want to bring the best solution. You want to really have your employees get the most forward-thinking solution, but the idea sort of goes back to that if you were the one to make one control panel for your CEO, what is it that you will put there? What will be the ROI numbers that you will give out to them, which will convince them, and how is it that you're going to ensure the security of your organization, your employees, their personal data, their family's data? So there is so much that is happening on the HR system. So I wanted to just, invite all of you to think about, there are great solutions out there in the market. There's holographic, there is digital twin, there is voice training that is available. You go to China and you figure out just the immense amount of innovation, which is beyond imagination that is happening. However, a lot of times we just need to take a step back and think about, hey, is my company ready? Am I using existing solutions to the best of their capacity or not? And if I have to face my chief digital officer, my chief compliance officer, how is it that I'm going to convince them about some of these solutions versus the benefit that they're going to get? So with that, Sushant, I think I'm right on time to end the session. Thank you so much for participating. I hope this was palatable right after lunch. That was my attempt, but I'm happy and available for any conversations offline. Thank you.